What if Next Friday was never just a laid-back comedy about neighborhood weekends? It made us laugh, but 26 years later, the cast's real lives reveal a far darker reality. Behind the jokes were battles with addiction, illness, poverty, and devastating loss. Join us as we uncover the truth you were never meant to see. Ice Cube. As Craig Jones. Ice Cube was born on June 15, 1969, in Los Angeles, California. At 31 years old, he played Craig Jones, the street-smart lead who carries the entire story, in Next Friday. Craig's calm intelligence and sharp humor defined the film and kept the franchise grounded. That tone came directly from Ice Cube's childhood. He grew up in south-central Los Angeles during the late 1970s and 1980s, an area marked by gangs, drugs, and frequent police raids. Several people he grew up with were shot, arrested, or disappeared before adulthood. These experiences shaped his early work with NWA and later performances such as Boys and the Hood, where violence was shown as routine to him. As his career expanded, his private life was tested. Ice Cube married Kimberly Woodruff in 1992, just as his career exploded across music and film. While writing and starring in Friday and Next Friday, long filming schedules and constant travel created distance at home. The marriage survived, but only through deliberate effort and strict separation between family life and public image. Health concerns followed the pressure. Ice Cube has acknowledged years of extreme stress, lack of rest, and physical exhaustion from juggling albums, films, and business deals. Though he avoided public breakdowns, the strain accumulated slowly and required lifestyle changes to prevent serious, long-term damage. Today, Ice Cube is 57 years old, still active as a rapper, producer, and founder of the Big Three Basketball League. With an estimated net worth of about $160 million, he remains one of the few artists to fully control his legacy. The man who played Craig Jones did not escape his past. He learned how to outlast it. John Witherspoon as Willie Jones. John Witherspoon was born on January 27, 1942, in Detroit, Michigan. At 58 years old, he played Willie Jones, the loud, strict, and endlessly quotable father, in Next Friday. His presence gave the film its generational balance, turning family conflict into some of the franchise's most memorable humor. That sharp, no-nonsense authority was rooted in how he was raised. Witherspoon grew up as the youngest of 11 children in a low-income Detroit household, where money shortages were constant and work began early. He took on small jobs to help his family and grew up surrounded by discipline, pressure, and limited opportunity. Those realities later surfaced in his comedy and early film work such as Hollywood Shuffle and Boomerang, where humor was built from struggle. As success arrived, stability became harder to hold. Witherspoon married Angela Robinson, and they raised 2 sons together, but the marriage struggled under years of touring, late-night performances, and inconsistent acting work. During the same period he was filming Friday and Next Friday, he was also committed to television roles like The Wayans Bros, a schedule that left little room for rest or repair at home. Health problems followed quietly. Witherspoon lived for years with diabetes and high blood pressure, conditions that worsened with age and constant work. Even while voicing characters on the Boondocks and appearing in Black Jesus, his body was under growing strain, hidden behind high energy and practiced timing. Finally, he passed away on October 29, 2019, at 77 years old, after suffering a sudden heart attack at his home in Sherman Oaks, California. He was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, alongside many figures of classic Hollywood. With an estimated net worth of around $8 million, his lasting legacy is not financial. It is the voice, rhythm, and truth he gave to Willie Jones, a character who felt real because the life behind it was. Tommy Tiny Lister Jr. as Debo, Tommy Tiny Lister Jr., was born on June 24, 1958 in Compton, California. At 42 years old, he played Debo, the brutal neighborhood bully, in Next Friday. The character became the physical threat of the film, turning comedy scenes tense and unforgettable. That intimidation began with his real life. Lister was born blind in his right eye due to a deformed retina, a condition that never healed. Growing up in Compton, he was often mocked, bullied, and excluded, while crime and poverty surrounded him daily. Sports became his escape, leading him to championship-level shot put before acting roles followed in No Holds Barred and later Friday. Fame did not erase personal pressure. Lister married Felicia Forbes in 2003, and they had one daughter together. The marriage remained intact, but long filming schedules and unstable income caused repeated strain, especially during years when he balanced acting with wrestling appearances and smaller film roles like Jackie Brown and The Fifth Element. Health problems accumulated with time. Lister lived with type 2 diabetes, chronic high blood pressure, and ongoing cardiovascular issues. In 2020, he contracted COVID-19, recovered, then fell ill again weeks later with severe weakness and breathing trouble, forcing him to cancel work shortly before his death. Sadly, he died on December 10, 2020, at 62 years old, after being found unresponsive in his Marina del Rey apartment. The coroner confirmed hypertensive and atherosclerotic heart disease as the cause of death. He was cremated, and his passing shocked fans who only saw strength on screen. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $100,000, reflecting a career marked more by visibility than financial security. Mike Epps as Day-Day Jones. Mike Epps was born on November 18, 1970, in Indianapolis, Indiana. At 30 years old, he played Day-Day Jones, the reckless, fast-talking cousin, in Next Friday. The role injected chaos into the story and shifted the film's energy toward louder, riskier comedy. That wild humor grew from a harsh childhood. Epps was raised in a poor Indianapolis neighborhood where his mother struggled with drug addiction and his father was absent. As a teenager, he was arrested for minor offenses and dropped out of school, drifting between jobs and street life. Comedy became his outlet, eventually leading to stand-up success and film roles like How High and Resident Evil, Apocalypse. As his career grew, relationships suffered. Epps married Michelle McCain in 2006, and they had 2 daughters, but the marriage collapsed amid accusations of infidelity and long absences. During this period, he continued working non-stop, appearing in Friday After Next, and later gaining mainstream fame through The Hangover. Substance abuse added another layer of damage. Epps has admitted to a cocaine addiction, which worsened during peak career years and affected both health and judgment. He later sought recovery and gradually stabilized, choosing steady television work over constant touring. Now, Mike Epps is 56 years old, continuing to act in television series like The Upshaws and performing stand-up selectively. With an estimated net worth of around $5 million, his life stands as a contrast to his early chaos. The man who played Day-Day survived the same recklessness he once laughed about, and is still standing. Don D.C. Curry as Uncle Elroy Jones. Don D.C. Curry was born on September 7, 1961, in Denver, Colorado. At 39 years old, he played Uncle Elroy Jones, the reckless, sex-obsessed uncle, in Next Friday. The character injected shock value into the film and pushed its comedy into risky, uncomfortable territory. That exaggerated humor did not appear overnight. Curry grew up in a struggling Denver environment after his parents separated, and he began working early to support himself. School became secondary to survival. Comedy slowly replaced frustration, guiding him toward stand-up stages that later led to national exposure through Def Comedy Jam. During this period, his career advanced unevenly. While Next Friday brought him mainstream recognition, similar roles did not follow consistently. He appeared in Friday After Next and television projects like Grace Under Fire, but Hollywood largely confined him to niche comedic spaces, limiting long-term momentum. Besides, Curry relied heavily on live performances and hosting work. Touring, late-night shows, and repeated club appearances kept him visible but exhausted. Hosting Comic View again in later years helped stabilize his profile, though not his workload. Today, Don D.C. Curry is 65 years old, performing selectively and focusing on writing and stand-up appearances rather than constant touring. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million, his career reflects endurance more than excess. Kim Whitley as Auntie Suga. Kim Whitley was born on July 21, 1961, in Shaker Heights, Ohio. At 39 years old, she played Auntie Suga, Elroy's bold and outspoken girlfriend, in Next Friday. Her character added balance and tension, preventing the film from being driven solely by male chaos. That confidence was learned early. Whitley grew up in a middle-class household, but experienced racial bias and identity pressure while navigating predominantly white spaces. She learned to adapt quickly, developing social awareness that later translated into sharp comedic timing on shows like Martin and the Parkers. As her visibility increased, stability remained elusive. Whitley worked constantly but rarely in long-running lead roles. During and after Next Friday, she moved between television and film, including Deliver Us from Eva, building recognition without industry security. Success arrived in bursts rather than continuity. Career demands soon overlapped with personal responsibility. Whitley chose motherhood through adoption in 2011, adding emotional and financial pressure to an already demanding profession. At the same time, she continued working through reality television like Raising Whitley and recurring roles on sitcoms to maintain relevance. Today, Kim Whitley is 65 years old, still acting, hosting, and producing content while balancing motherhood. With an estimated net worth of around $2.5 million, her career stands as a case study in resilience. Tamala Jones as Dawana. Tamala Jones was born on November 12, 1974, in Pasadena, California. At 26 years old, she played Dawana, Day Day's sharp-tongued ex-girlfriend, in Next Friday. The role added emotional friction and grounded the comedy in relationship tension rather than pure slapstick. That edge reflected her early environment. Jones was raised by a single mother in Pasadena and grew up around financial instability and domestic conflict. Responsibility came early, and independence was learned fast. These experiences shaped her confidence on screen and prepared her for early film work like Booty Call and The Wood. As her career gained momentum, stability remained uncertain. Jones moved steadily between film and television, taking roles that built recognition rather than instant fame. Around the time of Next Friday, she appeared in Kingdom Come, proving she could handle both comedy and emotional drama. This period established her as a reliable supporting actress rather than a breakout star. Personal relationships stayed largely private. Jones dated publicly at times but never married, and she has spoken indirectly about emotional strain and disappointment tied to failed relationships. Instead of stepping away, she redirected energy into work, eventually securing long-term success with her role as Lainey Parrish on Castle. By 2026, Tamala Jones is 52 years old, still active in television and film projects. With an estimated net worth of around $4 million, her career reflects consistency rather than headlines. Dawana was a brief role, but Jones built a lasting presence by surviving industry cycles. The Lady of Rage as Baby D. The Lady of Rage was born on February 6, 1968, in Farmville, Virginia. At 32 years old, she played Baby D, Dawana's intimidating and fearless sister, in Next Friday. The character brought physical dominance and surprise humor, instantly shifting the film's power dynamics. That commanding presence was learned early. Raised in a military family, she moved frequently as a child, rarely staying in one place long enough to build roots. Constant relocation created isolation and forced self-reliance. Music became her anchor, later leading to her rap breakthrough with Necessary Roughness and the hit Afro Puffs. As her music career slowed, acting offered a new direction. Next Friday introduced her to a wider audience outside hip-hop, opening doors to television work like The Steve Harvey Show. While these roles expanded her range, they did not replace the momentum of her early rap success. Instead of chasing constant visibility, she shifted selectively between music and acting. Guest appearances, collaborations, and smaller roles allowed her to remain present without overexposure. This balance helped preserve her image while avoiding burnout common among artists crossing industries. Now, the Lady of Rage is 58 years old, continuing to perform occasionally, and appearing in film and television projects on her own terms. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million, her career stands as a reinvention rather than a decline. Clifton Powell, as Pinky. Clifton Powell was born on March 16, 1956, in Washington, D.C. At 44 years old, he played Pinky, the sharp-eyed store owner, in Next Friday. The role gave the film a sense of everyday realism, grounding its humor in neighborhood economics and quiet tension. That grounded presence was shaped early. Powell grew up in the Mayfair Mansions area of Northeast Washington, D.C., surrounded by street violence and financial instability. Survival demanded awareness and restraint. Those traits later surfaced in early films like Menace to Society and Dead Presidents. As his career expanded, consistency mattered more than stardom. Powell became known as a dependable character actor, moving steadily between film and television. Around the time of Next Friday, he appeared in projects such as Rush Hour and later delivered one of his most acclaimed performances as Cutler in Ray, earning a NAACP Image Award nomination. Unlike many peers, Powell's personal life remained stable. He married Kimberly Powell, and they raised 2 children together. With no public health crises or scandals, his focus stayed on work, even as roles increasingly shifted toward independent films and direct-to-video projects. By 2026, Clifton Powell is 70 years old, still acting and taking selective roles across film, television, and voice work. With an estimated net worth of around $500,000, his career reflects endurance rather than wealth. Justin Pierce, as Roach. Justin Pierce was born on March 21, 1975, in London, England, and raised in New York City. At 25 years old, he played Roach, Day-Day's unpredictable friend, in Next Friday. The role captured his chaotic screen presence, blending humor with visible instability. That instability followed him from childhood. Pierce grew up in a fractured home after his parents divorced, drifting between neighborhoods and schools. He skipped classes, stole food, and turned to skateboarding as escape. Drugs entered his life early, shaping both his identity and his future. His career rose quickly and unevenly. Discovered while skating, Pierce broke through with Kids in 1995, a role that brought acclaim and an Independent Spirit Award. He followed with films like A Brother's Kiss and First Time Felon, but success intensified his inner conflict rather than calming it. Personal life offered little relief. Pierce married stylist Gina Rizzo in 1999, but depression and substance abuse deepened. Despite landing Next Friday and completing Looking for Leonard, his mental health deteriorated, and he struggled to envision a stable future. Sadly, he died on July 10, 2000, at 25 years old, after taking his own life in a hotel room in Nevada. He was buried at Gate of Heaven Cemetery in Hawthorne, New York. With an estimated net worth of about $100,000, his legacy is marked by lost potential. Jacob Vargas as Joker. Jacob Vargas was born on August 18, 1971, in Michoacan, Mexico, and later immigrated to the United States. At 29 years old, he played Joker, one half of the eccentric neighborhood brothers, in Next Friday. Though a small role, Joker added texture to the film's community feel and expanded its world beyond the main characters. That presence came from lived experience. Vargas arrived in the U.S. as a child and grew up in Pacoima, Los Angeles, facing poverty, language barriers, and cultural isolation. School required adaptation, and belonging was never automatic. These early struggles later informed performances in films like Mi Familia and Mi Vida Loca, where displacement and identity were central themes. As his career advanced, credibility replaced visibility as the main challenge. In 2000, the same year as Next Friday, Vargas appeared in Steven Soderbergh's Traffic, playing Manolo alongside Benicio del Toro. The film earned him a Screen Actors Guild Award as part of the ensemble and confirmed his standing as a serious dramatic actor rather than a background presence. Away from the spotlight, Vargas built stability. He married Sylvia Arzate, and together they raised 2 daughters. Thanks to his happy marriage, his focus remained on consistent work, moving between television and film projects such as Jarhead, Luke Cage, and Mayans MC. By 2026, Jacob Vargas is 55 years old, still acting regularly across film and television. With an estimated net worth of around $3 million, his career reflects steady growth rather than sudden fame. Rolando Molina as Baby Joker. Rolando Molina was born on August 13, 1971, in San Salvador, El Salvador. At 29 years old, he played Baby Joker, the quieter half of the Joker brothers, in Next Friday. The role supported the film's street-level humor and reinforced its sense of lived-in neighborhood chaos. That realism traced back to his childhood. Molina grew up amid the violence of the Salvadoran Civil War before immigrating to the United States with his single mother and younger brother. The transition brought instability, financial struggle, and the pressure to adapt quickly. Survival, not ambition, defined his early years. Opportunity arrived unexpectedly. While working as a security guard at Universal Studios, Molina was noticed by Edward James Olmos, who cast him in American Me. This break led to steady supporting roles in films such as Menace II Society and later mainstream projects like Bruce Almighty, proving reliability rather than star power. Instead of rapid advancement, Molina's career moved quietly. He appeared in numerous films and television shows, often in small but grounded roles that reflected real working-class characters. This steady path allowed him to remain employed without the volatility faced by many contemporaries. Now, Rolando Molina is 55 years old, still working intermittently in film and television. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, his career stands as a survival story rather than a rise and fall narrative. Baby Joker was a minor role, but Molina's journey reflects endurance shaped by displacement and persistence. Amy Hill as Mrs. Ho Kim. Amy Hill was born on May 9, 1953, in Deadwood, South Dakota. At 47 years old, she played Mrs. Ho Kim, the sharp-tongued neighbor, in Next Friday. Though brief, the role added cultural contrast and grounded humor to the film's neighborhood setting. That presence was shaped early. Hill grew up as a Japanese-American child in the shadow of post-World War II prejudice, absorbing silence, restraint, and observation rather than confrontation. Her father died in a car accident when she was 26, forcing emotional independence. These experiences later informed her nuanced performances in projects like All-American Girl and That's So Raven. Career growth came through persistence, not speed. After early sitcom exposure, Hill became a familiar face in American television, often cast in roles that carried authority beneath humor. Around and after Next Friday, she appeared in films such as The Cat in the Hat and 51st Dates, while also becoming a key voice in Lilo and Stitch, earning industry recognition, including an Annie Award nomination. Today, Amy Hill is 73 years old, still acting selectively in television, film, and voice work. With an estimated net worth of around $3 million, her career reflects endurance built over decades. Sticky Fingaz as Tyrone Kirk Jones was born on November 3, 1973, in Brooklyn, New York. At 27 years old, he played Tyrone, the loud, aggressive neighborhood thug, in Next Friday. The role amplified the film's street tension, turning brief scenes into moments that felt unpredictable and dangerous. That intensity was not invented. Jones grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn, surrounded by gang culture, theft, and constant pressure to survive. As a teenager, he was involved with the Lowlifes, a street crew known for shoplifting rather than fame. Music became a way out, leading him to Onyx and the explosive debut album Bak da Few Cup in 1993, which pulled him away from the streets, but not from their influence. Success arrived fast and loud. With hits like Slam, Onyx went multi-platinum, and Sticky Fingaz emerged as the group's raw frontman. Around the same period, he transitioned into acting, appearing in films like Clockers and Strapped, then gaining wider recognition through Next Friday, and later as the lead in Blade, the series. Momentum came from versatility, not safety. Instead of settling into one lane, Jones pushed control. He released deeply personal solo projects like Black Trash, the autobiography of Kirk Jones, blending music and narrative even when commercial success slowed. He also wrote, directed, and starred in experimental films such as A Day in the Life, choosing independence over mainstream approval. By 2026, Sticky Fingaz is 53 years old, still active as an artist, actor, and cultural entrepreneur. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, his career reflects reinvention rather than decline. Lisa Rodriguez as Carla. Lisa Rodriguez was born around 1975 in the United States. At approximately 25 years old, she played Carla, Joker's sister, in Next Friday. The role placed her briefly within the film's street-level ensemble, giving her visibility without long-term security. Little is publicly known about her childhood, but early adulthood revealed instability. After Next Friday and a few minor appearances, including Dark Angel, consistent acting work failed to follow. Momentum faded quickly, and industry doors closed without explanation, a pattern common for performers without agency protection. As opportunities declined, financial pressure grew. Rodriguez struggled to maintain housing and steady income, eventually facing periods of homelessness. Years after her film appearance, she publicly sought help through GoFundMe, revealing how quickly visibility can vanish without structural support. Now, Lisa Rodriguez is approximately 51 years old, living outside the spotlight and largely absent from the industry that once briefly featured her. With an estimated net worth of around $100,000, her story reflects the hidden cost of short-term exposure. More than 2 decades later, Next Friday feels like a time capsule. Some cast members built long, steady careers, others vanished quietly, and a few never made it to see 2026. Fame hit them all at the same moment, but time chose very different paths. Whose journey surprised you the most, and whose story hit you the hardest? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more then and now stories you won't expect.